Hi everyone, welcome to WW Designs. My name is Nikki, and recently Rachel and Bella Crafts Facebook group were doing a masterboard swap. So you made 3 masterboards, you sent them to your swap partner, and of course you got 3 in return. I have got a video that shows you the masterboards that I made for my swap partner, and I'll pop the link below. But this is one of the ones I received, and I decided I set myself a little challenge to try and come up with something a bit different that I could use my masterboard for. Of course, you know, we can cut it up and turn it into tags and things like that. And if you have no idea what a masterboard is, I also have a whole playlist called Junk Journal Scrapbook, which is all about what masterboards are and all sorts of different suggestions on how you can make masterboards. So I'll pop that link down below too, and you can check that out if you think, excuse me, Nikki, but what the hell are you talking about? What's a masterboard and what do we do? But that's done. Now, I've decided I'm going to use this whole masterboard up, and we're going to start by making a really cute, chunky little junk journal. And then once we've cut out the cover, we're going to use up the rest of it to help decorate this little journal. Now, it's going to be an easy one, not too technical, not too tough. So if you're a beginner, this will be perfect. And if you just want to see a few little interesting ideas on what you can do with a mini journal, then this is the video for you. So we're going to get crafting, and we're going to make a very fun, chunky little journal. Let's go. Right, so the first thing we need to do is prep our cover. So this has been done on cardstock, but I just feel it's a little bit flimsy. So I grabbed my favourite piece of packaging, which is a Nescafe cappuccino pack, because it is cardboard, obviously, but it's not too thick. But look, use whatever you've got. If you've got any sort of, I mean, it depends on how thick. If you've done a masterboard and it's on pretty thin paper, you might need something a bit sturdier, but you could use a pretty piece of scrapbook paper, whatever. There are no rules. It's use what you've got and make what you can. So I love this. I love the colour inside too. So what I did, my box obviously, you know, was like this. I cut this spine out, opened it up, just trimmed it so that it was nice and neat, and decided, voila, that is going to be the size of my journal. My only prerequisite was that obviously it fitted within the width of my masterboard. When I use this and I'm making a bigger journal that can get quite weighty, what I often do is the other spine that I have cut off, I glue down in here to make this even stronger, because a big journal, once it's all laden up with all the pretty things, can be quite weighty. But because this is such a cute little journal, I've decided I honestly don't think it needs anything extra. I think this will be enough. So how we do this, we turn our piece of, because I'm using packaging, we have it the right side up because that's where we want to glue, obviously, so that is the inside. And what I've done, I've got a little mat here, but I've also put down a piece of baking paper. When I'm doing any largish gluey arrangements, I use baking paper because it's very easy to remove things if you have glue that, you know, spits out over the edge. So to make life easy, I just use baking paper. That way it doesn't get on your board and you don't have to scrape it off, or your mat, or whatever you happen to be using. My favourite glue, Helmer Tiger Grip. I use this for practically everything. It goes on white, it dries clear, and it is lovely and strong. So we're just going to put a nice dash down. Also gives you a little bit of time to play with when you if you want to move things around. So I just love this glue. And then I'm just going to use this scraper here to spread this out a bit. Doesn't have to be perfect. When you place your things down, you'll find it will spread out anyway. So just a nice heavy dose, because you want this to adhere well. Trying to get up near the corners, and again, I will probably have some leaking out, but when it's on the baking paper, it doesn't matter. So there we go. We've given that a nice generous coat, and then I just clean this little rubber spatula-y thing with a wet wipe. Now we're going to take our masterboard. Now I noticed with this one, this has this piece here, which I think might be a great placement for the front of my journal. So I'm actually going to use that as like a little bit of a centerpiece, and then we can decorate around it. So that is over on that side. So, of course, I want to make sure that I pop this down on this side. And what I'm going to do, some of these edges are just a little bit rough. So what I'm going to do is I'm giving myself a little bit of space to actually trim around this when it is dry. But I'm going to leave this there now. I'm not going to bend it. I'm not going to do anything yet. We're just going to let that glue dry, and then we're going to trim around the edges, and we'll come back and continue. Now, for those of you that are interested, if you want the exact measurements of what I'm working with, the answer is the cover is now 25.25 centimetres across and 9.8 centimetres down. That is just the size I ended up with once I cut my cardboard apart. It doesn't, you just make it whatever size you like. Then when you're working on your page size, the maximum you want each piece to be is 20 centimetres by 9.5. You want to try and ensure that all your pieces fit in this zone here. So we can't include beyond the edge, and I don't like mine sticking out or sticking up above. I'm quite happy for decoration to do that, but I don't want my pages there because they just end up getting ratty. So 20 centimetres by 9.5 is the biggest. Now, I have a variety of different size pages here. I'll just show you some of the things I have collected. This is a lovely, I got this in a Christmas swap. I got sent all sorts of beautiful papers. I don't know where it came from. I know who sent it to me, but I don't know where she got it from. It's got variegation on it. It is just beautiful. And I thought, well, that was very appropriate for a nature journal. This is a very cute piece of book page. It was from an Italian food book. I have grabbed a few bits out of Flow magazine. I thought, oh, actually, these are all double-sided, and I thought they were perfect for a nature style journal. So I've gone for plants. There's also, you know, some cute little bugs. I thought they were great. This is a piece of Daphne's diary. It happens to also be double-sided. Too bad if some of your things aren't double-sided. That doesn't matter. We're going to add decoration and fun bits to it anyway. This is a book page. It's a botanical plant page. This is also a magazine page, not Daphne's diary or something else, but maybe, I don't know, but it's from a magazine, and it happened to have flowers on both sides in the area I was able to tear up. This is again another little, I think this might be Daphne's diary. Doesn't matter where I got them from though, honestly. This is a piece of coffee dyed index card. And then I did some paper dyeing with food colouring. I also put some of them down on old garbage bags that had some coffee and other remnants. So when you put something wet on it, you get it lifted up. So some of these have some coffee staining on them as well. And I think, how many have I got here? Anyway, why don't we split them up a little bit into sort of, we're going to make 2 signatures for this journal. So let's see, what have we got here? We'll just sort of, trying to keep it on screen here. Got that one there, that one there, and a little bit of botanical, some fruit. So then we've got fruit and fruit. Then we have these two are very similar colour schemes, so we'll give them one each. And then, doesn't really matter. They can have some bugs. They can have some food. Oh, hang on. Hang on. Oh, have I got an odd number here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I do. Oh, I'm going to have to make another one. Oh, hang on. I did have another one, but I haven't finished cutting it. I've just realised. Oh, no. Yes, I have. There is one more. I knew I had the right number. This is just a lovely piece of printed vellum I found in my stash. So I think that's enough pages. So we're going to have 2 signatures. I'm going to shuffle the pages around those so that, you know, these aren't all together. So we're going to go something like, how about we go, this one would look maybe cute sitting on top of that. Then we might go botanical, because that would look quite nice. We might put in one of the coloured pages. Then maybe, oh, that's quite complimentary as a pair. And then maybe some, yes, some fruits, plain green, and then, or plain blue, and then that one. So that's one signature. Then, let's see, what are we going to start with here? Might go, actually, why don't we start with, that one can be on the cover. That I like. That one next. Then maybe the, no, we don't want more lines. So how about we add the flowers? Then maybe the lined one. Then, no, we won't have another plain one. Let's put this printed one on. Then that one. Yes, there we go. So we've sort of just mixed them up a bit. So I'm going to grab some clips and the things we need, and I'm going to sew these in to my little journal. Back shortly. So I'm just switching to voiceover for this bit because I need to concentrate when I start sewing. So to save having to edit out swearing, maybe, we're just voiceovering this bit. Now, all I'm doing here is I have grabbed a ruler to hold down the spine while I gently tease the front and the back into shape. Just very gently. Don't do it too roughly or too fast, as you may tear the paper, and we don't want to do that. So you just gently prise it up and sort of get it into shape. This is also a good time to make sure that all your little bits are properly stuck down. Now, it's time to sew in signatures. It's very easy. I've made a little template. I have worked out my measurements so that my 2 signatures sit at about the 3rd way mark. If you just screenshot this, you can see I've actually written the measurements in, but obviously if you're making a different size journal, then measurements are useless. Then I just use an awl, or whatever you want to call them, to press through the holes. So firstly, I just make a little hole, but this is quite thick, so it needs a little bit of elbow grease behind it. Then I flip it over and I make the holes a little bit bigger. Bigger holes make this a much easier job to do. You won't notice giant holes once it's all finished, but bigger holes just means your needle goes through easily, and I always press them in from the good side through to the back side. So you know how when you make a hole like this, you get that little raised lumpy bit? I prefer that on the inside rather than the outside. I think it just gives a slicker look when you're done. So just make decent size holes. It'll make this much easier to do. Now I have my 2 signatures here. I've decided which way they're going. This is a very important time to check if you have any of your papers that have a directional value. So what I've done, I first put them together with 2 paper clips and make it all nice and snug. Then what I do is remove the back one so that I know which side is definitely the right way up. I can tell you it is very easy to sew in signatures and end up with one upside down. It drives me crazy. It's happened to me, and you have to undo everything and start again. So that way, when you're sewing them in, you know to make sure you have your paper clip or any type of clip at the front. And of course, make sure your cover's the correct way around, because honestly, it'll save tears. I promise you. But before I do take that bottom bit out, I now fold my little template in half, and that way I mark my holes in the signatures at exactly the same spot. It just makes it easier and neater. Again, don't try and make it a tiny little hole. Get that all right through your papers. It will, I promise you, it just makes it a lot easier and reduces the risks of tearing. Okay, that one is ready to go. I've got my direction right. Now I remove that clip. So to sew my signatures in, I always use a full strand of DMC thread. I have a huge selection, which means I can always pick the perfect colour for me. And then we cut a piece about 3.5 times the length of your spine. And you go through the middle first and then through the cover. Now make sure you hold on to the end, just so you, the end that's on the inside, just so that you don't accidentally pull it all the way through. And as you can see, just weaving it back through the hole here. Now this is where I thought it wasn't going to go through, but in the end, it's all good. If your paper moves slightly, it does happen, but it all works out in the wash. So hold the tail end, then you're going back through the middle. And what I like to try and do is pull the tail down so that you try not to split the DMC thread when you go back through. Sometimes it just happens, but if I can avoid it, I do prefer that. And now that your first bit's done, you should find it goes through nice and easily. Again, this is why larger holes are beneficial. But I do always still try and do the signature and then into the cover, just so I don't accidentally make more holes than I need. Then we go down to the bottom hole, so we're coming back up through the cover. And of course I drop my needle, all good. See, I might have sworn just at that spot there. Then it's time to check that they are all nice and taut. Don't tear the paper and go crazy, but you want to make sure they're all sitting flush, and that includes checking the inside as well. Sometimes you might find it's a bit loopy or loose. And then I tuck one thread through the top of the 2 pieces, and then I simply tie a knot. It just means you end up with a nice firm knot rather than one. You know, it's like when you try and tie a bow, it always ends up looser than what you want. This way you end up with it nice and firm. And I'm just double checking everything's nice and neat and strong. And I always do a double knot. Now, at this stage, you can cut the excess off, but I always leave it there in case I want to add some little dangly bits that hang down the bottom. But that, of course, is completely up to you. So I have sewn in the next signature. You didn't need to watch that repeat process all over again. But now it's all done. It's nice and solid. And I have all this excess left, which we're going to use in the next video to help decorate this cute journal. See you soon. Bye for now.